What is going on, everybody? Zyonik here, and in today's video we are going to cover how to build your Ferocious Cup team. We're going to dive into the best picks, what roles you guys need, and some great flex options for the Ferocious Cup. Before we get into that, the Sinister Cup is coming to an end. Today's the last day of competitive tournaments, but I wanted to give a huge shout out to the Competitive Edge community. These are my patrons here, and they performed phenomenally. As you guys can see here, the coaches are myself and Cody, KLTD. I went 4-1 and won a tournament. Cody went 8-1. He won a tournament and took second place in another. But the community is what's important here, guys. 56 members in the tournament. Tournament battles 315, 221 wins with 94 losses. As a community as a whole, that's a 70.16% win rate. We had 19 gold medals, which means the tournament was won. So 19 champions, 24 silver medals, and 11 bronze. Now, a lot of people did do multiple tournaments, but still, everyone did a phenomenal job. So I'm really proud of you guys. Our top battlers were Zorocast, who went 16-5. He won 3 tournaments and took bronze in 3. So he did a phenomenal job. Don't use Agrons, which shout out to you, man. You were my first patron ever. Guys, he's the OG of patrons, and he won 3 straight tournaments. So really awesome job, man. And we also have some first-time champions. These guys and girls have been putting in a lot of work to improve their skills, improve their gameplay, and they absolutely crushed it out the gate for Season 2. So congratulations to Mega Batman, Pika Magicella, Chickadee Checks, and El Guapo Mark. You guys absolutely crushed it. I am so proud of you guys. So if you guys want to join the community, there's a link down in the description to that. Without further ado, let's get right into how to build your Ferocious Cup team. All right, so getting right into this, we are going to be covering how to build your Ferocious Cup team for the Ferocious Cup tournament. And we're going to provide you with the best picks, or what I think are the best picks. There's always subject to debate. And then the ideal movesets you want to have for that Pokemon, and then kind of go from there. So the first pick, no surprise, Umbreon, guys. With that recent buff to Snarl, which allowed to have a very high EPT as a fast move, Umbreon is awesome. Now, as a joke right here, it says it covers the Ferocious Cup because this thing is actually really, really good. You know, you are weak to Ninetales, Gramble, Tyranitar, so Charm users, and then the Tyranitar there with the Smackdown and having that dark type resistance. But the thing is that's in a fresh fight. So on the lead, Umbreon versus Ninetales. If Umbreon has a swap in with some stored energy, Ninetales will have to shield if it wants to take it out. Otherwise, Umbreon can win. So with the moveset, we're looking at Snarl and Foul Play, and then you can either go Last Resort or Dark Pulse as the extra move. Now, the reason for Foul Play is the ability to shield bait in certain situations when you would use Last Resort, like in the mirror towards the end of a fight, similar to the Azumarill mirror, right, where we have Play Rough and Ice Beam. When you get close to that red, you go for the Ice Beam to shield bait. That way you can win by not using as much energy. Or you could go for Dark Pulse as well with Last Resort, and that'll be a little extra oomph when it comes to fighting the general meta. Now, when we look at Umbreon's actual coverages, it does really well against some of the meta Pokemon we are going to see, like Bidoof and Vaporeon, Lanoon, and Alolan Marowak. So those are some of the great things that it can beat pretty well. Now, it doesn't absolutely stomp, meaning that you don't have to shield. These situations, you'll likely have to shield once to kind of keep yourself in a great position, but if the enemy shields twice, you may lose that. But that's what makes Umbreon such a great generalist for the Ferocious Cup. Into the next pick, it is no surprise, Alolan Ninetales is phenomenal, guys. Alolan Ninetales with Charm, Psyshock, and Ice Beam is really good. As you guys know, it can beat that Umbreon. It can beat Granbull, and it can beat Lanoon. These are just some general things it can beat. But the thing is, this Charm is going to hit the meta so hard. So the things that beat Alolan Ninetales are things that, one, resist Charm, which is great. So Lairon in there, that Steel type resistance. Nidoqueen, so poison, going to be doing super effective damage with the fast move, and then Ninetales with that fire spin to be doing super effective damage to the Alolan Ninetales. So that's why it's there. Now you see that Nidoqueen is on the covers as well. Why is that? Well, Psyshock can one-shot it, guys. Depending on where you're at in the fight, if a Nidoqueen doesn't shield, Psyshock will take it out. So that's where it's a weakness, but it's also something you can cover, because if you have no shields, or sorry, if the Nidoqueen has no shields and it swaps into you thinking it can beat you, you can get to that Psyshock and take it out. So that's why Alolan Ninetales is so great as the best Charmer, because of its versatility with its charge moveset. So moving into the next pick, this is the anti-Charmer and just great generalist with its charge move. So Nidoqueen with Poison Jab, Earth Power, and Earthquake. Why? Because Poison Jab, first of all, you can farm down the charm users. So as long as, if it's a fresh fight, as long as you shield the Psyshock, you can fully farm down with Poison Jab, have tons of residual energy. On top of that, Earth Power in certain situations can't one-hit KO things that are weak to ground type moves, which is why Earthquake is there as the extra oomph of coverage. There's going to be situations where you run into an Umbreon, and if you go for Earth Power, it won't finish it, but the Earthquake will. And the difference in energy isn't too much, so definitely want to have both Earth Power and Earthquake, because we don't see the necessity of Stone Edge instead of an Earthquake. Now, some of the things it can cover, right? Absolutely wall electrics. This thing is hilarious. You don't need to shield against electrics. You may have to watch out for the buildup of Brick Breaks from Alolan Raichu, depending on where you're at in the fight. But guys, electric moves, literally, you're going to resist it. You can just laugh all day, farm these guys down, maybe get off an Earth Power once you have tons of stored energy. Now, other things, obviously, it can beat the other charm users. Depending on the situation, right? You're going to have to shield that Psyshock. And then it can also beat a big poison user that we see, which is Skuntank, because Skuntank, being a poison type, going to be weak to ground. Nidoqueen got that Earth Power Earthquake. It can one-shot Skuntank. Now, things you need to look out for. You need to look out for Alolan Sandslash. This thing is an absolute monster. Powder Snow and Ice Punch is no joke, guys. He can get to Ice Punch so quickly with the stab and the damage. This thing can absolutely wreck ground type Pokemon. So watch out for Alolan Sandslash. You're also going to be weak to water. So the Bidoofs, the Vaporeons, the Suicunes that we're going to see, you're going to want to watch out. Those Water Guns, those Surf, those Aqua Tail, going to be hurting. Also, you're going to be weak to ground type moves. So in the mirror, Earth Power is going to near one-shot you. So you need to look out for that. You need to look out for Bone Clubs. You need to look out for Pokemon who could potentially run ground type moves. For example, a Lanoon having Dig could absolutely decimate Nidoqueen if unshielded. So you need to look out for that. Now, coming in at our fourth pick, we have Bibarel. And Bibarel is... I remember catching this Pokemon for the first time and laughing because I will never ever use it, but now it is like my go-to water type Pokemon other than Vaporeon, which we'll get to at the end of the video. But Bibarel is absolutely amazing, guys. It's thick, it's cheap, it's available. So you have Water Gun, Hyper Fang, and Surf. Water Gun gonna be great at general damage to the meta. You're gonna be covering things like Alolan Sandslash, Nidoqueen, Alolan, or regular Ninetales, I should say. You could also put a dent into Alolan Ninetales, but Water Gun and then Surf Spam and Hyper Fang both have Stab because he is a normal water type Pokemon, so he is absolutely phenomenal. But the things you also obviously have to look out for, electric type moves. So the big ones, Raichu and Minun, these are kind of the front runners when it comes to our electric types. You also have to look out for Lanoon. Lanoon's going to have Grass Knot or Thunder or both. Ideally, they're going to run Grass Knot and Dig, but definitely have to watch out for Grass Knot. But you can take out a Lanoon in certain situations, so be sure to look up where you can take that out at. Now, this is the core. Guys, this is what I think. These four are really the core and the foundation of a team. They are the best for their roles. We'll talk again like Vaporeon. I know you guys might be like, but Vaporeon. I know, trust me, Vaporeon is awesome. But this is the core. I really think it is Umbreon, Ninetales, Nidoqueen, Bidoof. This is, or Biberal, I should say. this is the core of the Ferocious Cup. So these next 2 picks are going to be flex picks, and then we're going to talk about other flex picks. So our first flex pick is a normal Raichu with Thundershock, so a legacy one. Why? You can spam hard-hitting moves like no other. Thundershock will be able to get to Wild Charge and Brick Break extremely fast. You're going to be able to cover the waters very easily. You're going to be able to cover Alolan Sandslash with that Brick Break. You can put a dent into Umbreon, and you can put a dent to Minun, which a lot of people are going to be bringing. But you have to watch out for Charm because Raichu is so squishy. Obviously, Charm being a very hard-hitting fast move, even though it isn't going to be super effective, that neutral damage is absolutely going to shred you, so you have to watch out, but you can put shield pressure on them. Again, you have to look out for Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen's going to be resisting all those electric type moves, which is why I mentioned earlier about the Brick Break spam. You can possibly get a shield from a Nidoqueen, but if they're playing smart, they won't do that. So, yeah, Raichu at number 5. Now, this role is basically extra coverage to water, so that role can be fulfilled with other flex picks that we're going to have. But let's go ahead and get into our last pick. So coming in at the last pick is Ninetales. Now, again, super flex pick here, guys. There's great options, so don't get in a hoopla about this pick. I just want to talk to you about its potential, right? I want to enlighten you on what you could do. So Ninetales has access to Fire Spin, farmable on ice Pokemon, so Alolan Ninetales and Sandslash. It has Size Shock, so one-hitting the poison type Pokemon, which we're definitely going to see. And then it has Solar Beam to one-hit the water type Pokemon. So you got a potential Swiss Army knife triple threat that can cover the whole team other than Umbreon straight up. So you could farm down Alolan Ninetales. You can one-shot Nidoqueen with Size Shock. You can one-shot with Solar Beam. And then you could probably whittle down Raichu a little bit. But yeah, it's got great coverages, but it does rely on landing the moves. That's the thing. You have to line up the farmability with Fire Spin, and you have to be able to land the moves, which is why this is a huge flex pick, because it's not as reliable. Things you're going to be weak to. Water, obviously. Vaporeon, Biberal. These guys are going to absolutely shred you, and even if you build up to Solar Beam, they should put up a shield to stop that. Otherwise, if they don't, then fantastic. Other things you're going to be weak to. Rock type moves. There's a lot of them out there. So the Smackdowns coming from Agrons, the Rock Slides coming from Larons. There's a lot of rock moves out there, guys, and ground type moves. You need to look out for that. So Alolan Marowak's Bone Clubs, Nidoqueen, Dig on Lanoon, Donphan could have Earthquake. Like, there's a lot of things that could one-shot you, so you need to be careful, which is why he's a big flex pick. So let's go ahead and talk about other options for flex picks. All right, so as we see here, the core 4, I definitely think, I mean, you guys can argue with me, which is fantastic. If you guys think this is not the core, maybe someone else should be a core, let me know in the comments, but I definitely think this is the core 4 that we're going to see. The only argument I could see is Vaporeon over Bibarel as the core 4, but in terms of flex, things we could bring, Alolan Sandslash, right? If we're going to see a real big rise of Nidoqueens and Nidokings, Alolan Sandslash can cover that very well, especially Donphans as well because of the Ice Punch, but he does have to watch out for counter. Now, Donphan, huge versatility. It can have access to great moves to cover the meta. You got Counter, which is a great damage move and farming move in certain situations. It's got Play Rough to handle the dark type Pokemon, and it could have potentially Earthquake or Heavy Slam. Heavy Slam covering those Charm users, and Earthquake covering the Poison and Electric. So this thing, again, another Swiss Army knife. So Donphan could go into Ninetales slot. Now, Skuntank. Skuntank and Laron, there's a lot of other options when it comes to the Poison Steel, but this is that role where maybe you'll double up on Anti-Charm. Skuntank is great. It's got Poison Jab, and then you'll want Crunch and Sludge Bomb. So there's a lot of versatility there, a lot of dust savings if you used it in previous tournaments. And then Laron having Metal Claw, Rock Slide, Body Slam. If you can farm a Charm user with Laron because you're going to resist everything it fires out at you, except for Close Combat on Granbull, watch out for that. you can really come in and body slam spam and rock slide a lot of the meta. So he is a great flex pick. I don't think he should be picked over Nidoqueen as a core, but an additional flex pick would be great. Now, the waters. So I think Vaporeon and Bibarel could be swapped in terms of core 4. It's a great argument. I don't think Suicune makes the core 4, but it is an option to bring 2 waters to your team. They have great synergy, and it can really set up teams to bait out a Pokemon to be able to farm. So you could lead with a Nidoqueen, have Vaporeon and Bibarel in the back, and then swap to one of them if you lose lead, bait out that electric type Pokemon, and then come in and farm with Nidoqueen. So there's huge play when it comes to having 2 waters on your team, and great flex options. Now with Vaporeon, Water Gun, Aqua Tail, and then either Last Resort or Hydro Pump. Hydro Pump, oh man, when you land it, it's so satisfying. And then Last Resort is kind of more consistency, but Aqua Tail is definitely a move you want to have. Now Suicune's interesting, guys. It's so, if you land the Hydro Pump, you're sitting pretty. If you don't, it's not good, because the other move in Bubble Beam, if they don't shield a Bubble Beam, then you kind of just wasted a charge move or a potential to land Hydro Pump. So it's very gimmicky. If you think you can land it, fantastic. Suicune will be a go-to. It's going to have Snarl, Hydro Pump, and Bubble Beam. And also, Bubble Beam can really lower the attack of the team. So if you can get a Bubble Beam or 2 on multiple Pokemon, it's really optimal when it comes to the Ferocious Cup. Now, the anti-waters are other great flex options. So Lanoon, like we talked about earlier, it's going to have Shadow Claw, Grass Knot, and Dig, or Shadow Claw, Grass Knot, and Thunder, or Thunder and Dig. But ideally the Grass Knot and Dig. Grass Knot covering those water type Pokemon, and then the Dig covering the poisons, covering the electric. So it's great versatility, and ideally I'd slot that into the role of Raichu. And then Minoon, another fantastic electric type Pokemon. Very bulky in terms of electrics, but it is really expensive, guys. As you guys know, you're going to have to power it up a lot, which is why I put Raichu there, as it's more inexpensive and a 10k unlock. But if maybe you want to go for Lanoon, you can do that, but that would go into the Raichu spot. You have it, guys. This is the Ferocious Cup team building guide. Now, I think there are other really great options for the Ferocious Cup, but these are just kind of the main ones I really want to emphasize to you guys. And noticing how we have balance, we have coverages for everything. So it's just really important when you have coverages and great meta picks. So I hope this helped you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I hope you guys found it informative. So be sure to smash that like button. Comment down below and let me know what you guys think about the core 4. What you guys think about the flex picks. What are you guys looking to? Was there something that I missed? Be sure to let me know in the comments. And again, huge shout out to the Competitive Edge community. You guys are absolutely killing it. I can't wait to see how you guys do for the Ferocious Cup. Like always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.